dose of Satanism.
Welcome to Daily Dose of Satanism, your podcast to get your daily dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. I'm an author of Satanic books, as well as my blog, which you can check out at satanwolf.com. It's 100% free. Now, we do have some really cool merchandise that you can purchase, from books to clothes and accessories. There's a wide selection of both satanic and non-satanic products to choose from for those who've got a rebellious sense of style. While we always appreciate your support, this is the best way to support the show. You can also give us a like or a share or a subscription at any one of our multiple platforms, from Facebook to Spotify. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Daily Dose of Satanism. I am your host, Satan Wolf. On our last episode, we dove deep into the truth of satanic isolation. The idea that our philosophy of individual sovereignty is fundamentally at odds with the herd mentality of a collective community. We explored why a true Satanist must walk a solitary path and find strength within themselves. Today, we're going to expand on that idea and confront another major misconception: the relationship between Satanism and politics. We will discuss why the two don't mesh, taking a look at a group you've likely heard of, and then we will turn our attention to the philosophy of being a Satanist in practice. Before we get too far in today's show, there's some things that I did want to touch base on through this episode, and I'm going to come back to this later, but I just want to say, if you stuck it out this far, I definitely appreciate you. I know that I'm working out the kinks. Sometimes there's some errors, overlaps, dog is barking in the background, and I just appreciate you guys being understanding as an audience and hanging in there anyway. Now let's get to the show. Satanism and political action. The core conflict between Satanism and politics is simple. One is built on the pursuit of individual will, and the other is built on a collective compromise. Politics, by its very nature, requires you to submit to a larger group, to lobby for its interests, and to find a common ground with those who may not share your values. You must conform to a party platform, sacrifice personal goals for a group agenda, and place faith in a system of authority. This is a complete reversal of our fundamental belief that Satanists is their own God. Every individual member has their own political views, the ones that best fit their individual preferences. To politicize Satanism is to take away the very autonomy that is, in its essence, the core of satanic principles. This is a key philosophical point that often gets lost to the public eye, largely due to one specific organization, the Satanic Temple. Now, if you've made it this far into Satanism and you haven't been caught up in the Satanic Temple snare as a new Satanist, I'm proud of you. They're out there. They are media whores. They will grab lots of attention. And a lot of people are misled into thinking that they're Satanists because the Satanic Temple says so. And I find it highly offensive for them to be misrepresenting our religion, especially so publicly. But we'll get back to that later. For right now, I want to speak about some of the conflicts within the Satanic Temple, just to prove the point about why politics and Satanism just don't mix. Now let's talk about the Satanic Temple, or the TST. For sure. You've seen them in the news. Their Baphomet statues, their legal battles for religious liberty, their activism for reproductive rights. I call it theatrical activism. Many see their work and assume it represents Satanism as a whole, but this couldn't be further from the truth. TST uses the symbol of Satan as a tool for pissing off Christians, pretty much, and political protests, social justice. They say their goals are political in nature, to challenge Christian privilege and fight for what they see as a secular, just society. This is their chosen path, and their success in the public is, it doesn't do very much good to put Satanism behind anything that you're trying to achieve. By nature, Satan is the adversary, and why would you want to bring that behind something you're trying to support, with all the many, many Christians and Christian organizations out there that you just invited to oppose whatever it is that you're for. And if they're already the opposition, then all you're really doing is reinforcing what they already think to be true in the first place. My thoughts and opinions on that. Okay, so from the perspective of our core philosophy, TST is a prime example of the very herd mentality we discussed in the last episode. They rely on public perception, media attention to achieve their goals. Their members must band together for a cause that, while perhaps noble, is still a collective one. And in doing so, they risk becoming a political organization, not a religious one, which is where they are, in my opinion. They use satanic aesthetic rather than, but they just don't use the philosophy. They throw the whole thing out the window. They're, in a sense, wolves dressing up in sheep's clothing to get what they want. Now, the in-house fighting is cost of the collective we talked about. Let's talk about that with the TST. While the TST's public face is one of a unified political opposition, their structure and approach have led to a significant amount of infighting and public schisms, which are perfect case study for the paradox we're discussing. These conflicts demonstrate what happens when a group attempts to apply a collective political model to a philosophy that is inherently individualistic. Take, for example, the very public fallout with the prominent leader of their Detroit chapter, Jex Blackmore. I love Jex Blackmore, by the way. Don't know her personally, not saying like that, but I'm just saying I saw her and I was like, wow, and what she did I thought was amazing. Sorry. But she was a figure in some high profile theatrical protests, and the relationship between Blackmore and the leadership, particularly the co-founder Lucien Greaves, became increasingly tense. The core issue wasn't about the mission itself, but about the control and nature of the message. Blackmore's more radical and confrontational performances, which included discussions of violent protest and revolution, were deemed incompatible with TST's nonviolent legalistic strategies. This philosophical and tactical conflict ultimately led to Blackmore's removal from the organization. The drama played out very publicly with accusations and counter-accusations online. And let me tell you something, these guys have they got so many lawyers and so many forms that they have to sign, so that things that they can't legally even say once they're into the TST. And so you can imagine with everything that's public, how much is there that we don't know, that they can't say. You see what I'm saying? But another clear example of this is the broader discontent among local chapters. For years, there have been widespread complaints from former members and leaders who have accused TST's national leadership of a lack of financial transparency, a top-down authoritarian leadership style, and a corporate structure that is antithetical to the very individualism many members join for. This has resulted in a number of public schisms, with various congregations breaking away to form their own independent groups, often referred to as satanic sanctuaries or other names. It's so common it has its own thing for it. And these conflicts are not simply personal disputes, they are a direct consequence of a political model imposed on a philosophical idea. The moment you define your purpose by a collective goal, you invite disagreement over what that goal should be and how it should be pursued. You are forced to choose between the individual's will and the group's agenda. And in a political organization, the group's agenda will always win. It's a textbook case of why truly satanic paths cannot be a collective one. A wolf does not hold a meeting to decide where to hunt. It just simply follows its will. And when a group of wolves try to organize a committee, what they get is not strength, but infighting. Okay, so I want to say a little bit more about it. It's like Jex Blackmore, she did some amazing satanic performances, I guess you would call it, rituals or whatever, that were she took a very aggressive stance, okay? I do this with my writing. I got sections in my book where I write things that are supposed to be from Samael, like the Archangel of Death. So yeah, he's out there saying murder, kill, bring war upon the world. I'm not literally telling people to do that. But that is something that you would expect to hear from that character, as it may be. It doesn't do good to try to put on a evil character and then spice him up with sugar and spice and everything nice. The TST adopts these 7 fundamental tenets, which have nothing to do with Satanism. They are more aligned with the Christians' 10 Commandments. And I think what they did is just made a mockery of it, like their own version, and try to be like, see, you know, we're not bad people, we're good people too, and we have these same beliefs, you know. But anyway, lots of problems with the TST. And then the other one, now I have some friends who had joined the TST, and they're like, look, anybody can be a Satanist. That's all you got to do. And it's like, no, that's not it. They think they're Satanists because the TST told them they are. And the TST only cares about you. What I think you just got to sign up for an email. And now that's opposed to the Church of Satan, where it's very restrictive and hard to get into the Church of Satan. It's opposed to these other groups. They'll just accept anybody. For me, I kind of prefer it that way, and with good reason. But that's something I'm going to bring up and get into a little bit more later. I just had to get these things off my chest about the TST because it does really kind of piss me off. And I know I spoke about it before, but I just wanted to get it out there. And I'm hoping that there's people out there listening who will find some clarification in this, because I do understand that it can be confusing. If you're new to Satanism, or if you're just not a Satanist and you're trying to learn for whatever reason, maybe a family member or whatever. And there's so much confusion out there. I just don't see why people choose to add more to it. Okay, we're going to take a break for the Satanic verse of the day.
It's now time for the
Satanic verse of the day.
Satanic verse of the day. I am your host, Satan Wolf. Satanic verse of the day.
Daily dose of Satanism.
SatanWolf.com.
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 Welcome to a new segment of the show where we take a moment to reflect on a core piece of satanic wisdom. Today's verse is Satanic verse number 164. It states, question the doctrines that are presented as immutable truths and dare to forge your own path guided by reason. Now, this verse is the very essence of the Satanist as the adversary. We are told to question everything, especially those ideas that are presented to us as unquestionable, unchangeable facts. The immutable truths of social society, religion, or politics are at the very chains that we must break. Whether it's religious dogma or a social norm that dictates how you should live, the Satanist's first instinct is to challenge it. I love that Satan demands study, not worship. And Satan tells you to question everything, even Satanism. Now, what other religion does that? But it doesn't stop there. The verse tells us to dare to forge your own path. It's not enough to simply say no. You must have the courage and the will to create your own way forward. This is where the true power of individualism comes into play. We do not need a pre-written destiny. We are the architects of our own lives. And most importantly, our path is guided by reason. Our rejection of dogma is not based on blind rebellion or emotional whims. It's grounded in logic, evidence, and critical thinking. This is what sets a Satanist apart, a commitment to an intellectual and rational pursuit of truth, wherever it may lead. Okay, we talked about the TST. Now let's talk about the Church of Satan a little bit. Their approach is fundamentally different, whole fundamentally different path than the TST. The Church of Satan, founded by Anton LaVey, takes the opposite approach. It is not an activist group. It does not engage in politics or social crusades. It is not on a changing the world mission, but changing oneself. Its mission is to encourage its members to be their own gods, not to be a collective voice begging for recognition. This brings us to a topic many people ask about membership. The Church of Satan has a reputation for being hard to join, and that's by design. The membership fee is, I think, $225, $250. To the uninitiated, this seems like a bizarre and even exploitive cost, but it is a critical piece of their philosophical framework. This fee is an act of gatekeeping. It serves as a necessary filter, a barrier to entry that weeds out the curious, the fair weather followers, and the psychic vampires we discussed in the last episode. It ensures that those who join are serious, committed individuals who value the philosophy enough to invest in it. The church is not a public social club. It is a collection of rare individuals, and that fee helps ensure their ranks remain composed of exactly that. It's not about making a profit. It's about preserving the integrity of their philosophy. This is all just my opinion, as I must say I'm not a member of the Church of Satan yet. but it's just more of a matter for financial practicality for me. I mentioned I was injured and crippled recently, so financially that's an issue for me, and that's just the reality of it. But it's stages and growth, and that's just part of Satanism and life, okay? Now, that brings me to another question. How can you tell if you are a Satanist? Do you have to join some group? No. And matter of fact, it's quite antithetical to the idea. You don't have to be a member of no church or organization or temples or anything like that to be a Satanist. Satanism is a religion of the self, not a club you join. You're not a Satanist because you paid a fee or have a membership card. You are a Satanist because of your innate nature and philosophical alignment. So how do you know if you're a Satanist? It's not about ritual, worship, or wearing a pentagram. It's about a core philosophy that you live every day. You're a Satanist if you read the Satanic Bible and found it resonated with you. Embrace rational self-interest. Your decisions are based on what's best for you, your survival, and your success. Practice the law of retaliation. You do not turn the other cheek. You stand up for yourself and refuse to be victimized. You value knowledge and wisdom over ignorance and superstition. You recognize the social stratification of the human and animal and reject the idea of enforced equality. You are an adversary, a rebel against all forms of tyrannical authority, and a questioner of all dogma. If this sounds like you, then you're already a Satanist. The path is solitary, and your greatest strength comes from within. I actually have that on the back of my medallion. My Baphomet on the back, it says, it's one of my favorite things I wrote. It says, "Put not your trust in mortals or gods. True power lies within." And with that, that's going to be the end of the show today. In this episode, we've broken down why our philosophy is at odds with politics and explored the fundamental differences between organizations that use the satanic symbol. You don't need a group to be a Satanist. You only need yourself. If this resonated with you, you're not alone in your aloneness. You can find more of my work at satanwolf.com. Until next time, farewell, and may critical thinking forever guide your path. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. So we take this night, our rightful gifts, and trespass not on passive pain. Lead us unto temptation, and deliver us from false piety. For this is thy kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever.
SatanWolf.com.
SatanWolf.com.
Daily dose of Satanism.